What is up, everybody? I'm your legendary commander, and welcome back to Baldur's Gate 3. In this video, we're going to talk about the best sword. What is the best sword in the game? However, before we get started, maybe hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into it. So, Dagger's also going to be on this list, and here we go. So, starting with the Dagger, you get a D4 damage. It is also considered light, which means it can be dual-wielded, and it uses finesse, which means it's using your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier to enhance its damage. It's also a non-martial weapon, which means anyone can use it. Next on the list is a Scimitar. The Scimitar is a D6 of damage, a martial weapon, and it is also considered light. Once again, it uses finesse, so it has basically every characteristic of a dagger, except it's a martial weapon. So that means if your character isn't trained with the weapon, they're going to struggle. But otherwise, this thing is just a better dagger. Then we look at the short sword. The short sword is basically a scimitar, except it does piercing versus slashing damage. There are only very rare situations where piercing is better than slashing, or slashing is better than piercing, so these two are kind of whichever you want. Next up on the list is the longsword. The longsword is a little different. The weapon does not use finesse, and it is considered a versatile weapon, meaning it can be held with one hand or two hands. If you hold it with one hand, it does a D8 of damage. If you hold it with two hands, it does a D10, but that means you have to drop your shield. This weapon can actually be dual-wielded, however you must take a feat called Dual Wielder, which in theory that means this weapon can do as much as 2d8 damage if you're dual wielding. However, you're going to have a slight AC drop because you don't have a shield. This AC drop would actually accompany any weapon you dual wield. The last one on this list is a Greatsword. And is it a Greatsword? Well, you be the judge, but I don't think so. The Greatsword does carry one of the highest base damages and has one of the base minimum lows, being 2d6 damage, meaning it can't roll lower than a 2. However, it has a little more trouble rolling a 12. It draws off your strength modifier just like your longsword would, and it is considered heavy, so if you're a small creature, you can actually not use this weapon effectively and gain a disadvantage when using it. As well, this weapon also requires you to use both hands. That means no shield, or dual wielding. Now there is a rapier in the game, but I was not able to find it. So I did the next best thing and looked at 5e, and a rapier does 1d8 damage and uses finesse. It is not considered a light weapon, and it's also considered a martial weapon. So this means not everybody can use it, of course, and again, it's not light, so that means you can't dual wield it unless you take that feat like the longsword. However, you can single hand this sword, meaning you can carry a shield. So let's wrap up. What is the best sword? Well, the best sword is the one that is practical at the moment, of course. But if you wanted me to pick the best weapon, I would probably say the longsword. The reason why I picked the longsword is every other weapon does less damage when dual wielded. If you do happen to take the feat to be able to dual wield your longsword, you have a maximum potential of 16 damage. That isn't a critical, of course. But let's not just stop at damage. What else makes this sword so much better? Well, if you ever happen to get disarmed and lose one sword, you just take that hand, put it on the other sword, and now you do a D10. And meanwhile, you can always still pull out a shield if you don't want to go that route. And that is why the longsword is the superior sword in the game. Now remember guys, this game is in early access and everything is subject to change. They could literally change stats, anything they want with this. They probably won't, but they could. So guys, that is going to be it for this video. If you liked this video, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure to tell your friends. So y'all take care. And I'll catch you next time.